Hello. In this presentation, I will be explaining the concept and discussing the advantages of implementing a portfolio rebalancing strategy. I will also walk you through an example. First, what actually is rebalancing? Well, we at Beacon Financial Strategies believe that rebalancing is an integral component of the investment management process. Rebalancing is simply the process of adjusting a portfolio's stock bond mix or asset allocation back to your targeted allocation. Rebalancing is a risk management strategy. While managing portfolio risk may not be as important for those in the accumulation or savings phase who have many years ahead of them to recover from portfolio declines, it is especially beneficial for pre-retirees and retirees who are in or entering the distribution phase. With that in mind, I think it's helpful to go through an example so that you can actually see the benefits that rebalancing can provide. In this example, it was determined through the planning process that the most appropriate stock bond mix for this individual is to have a 60% allocation to stocks and 40% allocation to bonds, and their $1 million portfolio was invested in this manner with a $600,000 investment into stocks and a $400,000 investment into bonds. In the first year, stocks were up 30% and bonds were up 5%. This was a great year of performance, but you'll note that for this individual, after this exceptional return period, that their allocation has drifted to about a 65% stock and a 35% bond allocation. So they are essentially taking more risk in their portfolio going into the next year. Unfortunately, in year two, returns were not as good. In fact, stocks declined by 25%. Thankfully, bonds held their own and returned about 3%, which would be kind of a typical scenario that we have seen quite a bit here recently. Given the significant decline in stocks for the year, this investor's stock allocation has declined from about a 65% allocation to a 57% allocation, 3% less than their target for stocks. Thankfully, in year three, returns improved again. So stocks advanced in year three by about 17% and bonds advanced again by 2%. So at the end of the day, you'll note that this investor's portfolio has grown to about $1.125 million, but not a bad return, but there was quite a bit of variability, especially in the stock component of their portfolio. So now let's take a look at a portfolio that was rebalanced each year. So keep in mind that at the end of each year, we went in and placed trades to bring their portfolio target back to their targeted allocation of 60-40. So you will note that after the great returns of year one, that the not rebalanced and the rebalanced portfolio have the same ending values. However, in the rebalanced portfolio, you'll note in the post-rebalance allocation table that going into year two, the stock allocation is $60,000 less than the portfolio that is not rebalanced. It turns out that this is pretty beneficial because in year two, stocks declined by 25%. So the investor who employs a rebalancing strategy, at least in this example, has preserved more of their portfolio by selling stocks after a great return year and reinvesting these profits into bonds, which tend to be more conservative. At the end of year two, rebalancing happens again. So this time, through the rebalancing process, trades are placed to sell bonds, which held up in the downturn, and buy stocks. Rebalancing brings this investor's portfolio back to their targeted 60% stock and 40% bond allocation, where in year three, both stocks and bonds advanced. So after rebalancing at the end of year three, if we compare the overall performance between the portfolio that does not employ a rebalancing strategy with the portfolio that rebalances annually, you will note that the rebalanced portfolio has achieved a higher return, given the sequences of returns in this example. So, to summarize, it is important to remind you that the purpose of implementing a portfolio rebalancing strategy is not to enhance performance, but rather to control risk. Controlling portfolio risk is especially important for those investors who are approaching or in retirement, or those who are taking portfolio distributions. I hope that you have found this web presentation to be beneficial. If you have any questions, feel free to contact our office. Thank you.